Yeah, let's talk about the bigger picture. Let's talk about how we be ballin', playing with the Wizards. Let's talk about the Nats and how they always got good pictures. Let's talk about the Cats who rescue, turn them boys to winners. Injuries and updates, oh yeah. To the opponent, we stand toe to toe, yeah. To the top, this podcast gonna go, yeah. I think it's something you should know, yeah.
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Ref the District, where we hold DC sports accountable. So This is episode 57, and we'll get to the significance of episode 57 later on in the show and why that's a big number. But anyway, I am Stoner. You can find me. Oh, I'm bouncing my table. I'm Stoner. You can find me at StoneDog23 on Twitter. And to my right would be Trev. You can find him at Trev HTTC on Twitter. Probably, I don't know. Did you change your name on Instagram and all that other stuff?
Nah, just on Twitter.
No?
Just on Twitter.
Just on Twitter. Okay. So you can find him there. And of course, we're down a man. We're down Nathan today. However, he is going to be in the chat as Ref the District. So you can interact with him there. And so, like I said, this is episode 57. Nathan will be here for some follow-up shows going forward. He's dealing with some family stuff, so we totally understand. Trev and I will take over. Trev, it's been a minute.
It has, dog. I have. Well, I've been doing a little bit of potting with Nathan because you have been absent a couple of times too.
Oh, I've been the one that's going.
I mean, it's okay. I'm just saying, stating the fact. And then I've been getting this bar going, man. Sky Bar has officially opened.
Yeah.
We had our official public opening last weekend, Friday and Saturday. It's great. It's popping off.
Awesome.
So that's what I've been doing, just being a bar owner. So.
All right. Well, let's get to that. Our sponsors. We are sponsored by Pacers Running. Pacers Running is has 6 stores in the Northern Virginia and DC area, and of course you can find them online at Pacers Running. And so they can take care of all your running needs, foot apparel, gear, all that stuff. Check them out at Pacers Running. And then also, of course, we are sponsored by Sky Bar, right, Trev? And you said you guys are open now every day, right?
Just Friday and Saturday.
Friday and Saturday, certain times that you're open?
Yeah, 5 to 10 right now. Of course, staffing is an issue like it is in the entire world. We'll be looking to expand our hours and days a little bit more than that. But right now, Fridays and Saturdays, 5 to 10. Come check us out.
Awesome. That's in Lexington, Virginia. We will, at some point, have a live Ref the District show from the Sky Bar in Lexington, Virginia. That'll be coming up soon. All right. So let's get to what's coming up on the show today. Of course, here in the warm-up, I've got a few surprises for you, Trev, in the warm-up.
I like surprises.
Yeah. In the game, we have NBC Sports Commanders and Washington Football Talks. Pete Hailey is joining us at about 7:45.
Let's go.
So we'll talk to him about all Washington Commanders off-season stuff that's going on. We've got a lot for him to fill us in. He is an insider. He's awesome. Looking forward to talking to him. And again, like I said, there's a significance to the episode 57 of him being on the show. So we're going to talk with Pete Hailey. Then in the cool down, Trev, we're going to talk all kinds of stuff. I've got some rapid fire for you. It may not actually be related to the Washington sports scene. Some of it is.
Okay.
We're going to talk about that stuff in the cool down.
All right. I'm
ready. That's what we got coming up on the show today. Are you ready, Trev? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Because I
promise I'm ready. I know, dude. I'm ready. I got my Fresca, mini Fresca tonight, so I'm ready. Let's do it.
Is it spiked with anything, or are you just
straight Fresca, no spike?
I hear you. All right, so here's the first thing, Trev.
All right, yeah.
You know me.
I
am a middle-aged. I got a birthday coming up, so I'm in my 50s. I'll just say that.
Okay.
I'm about as square as a guy can get.
Oh gosh.
Okay. Right. I need some help.
Okay. Right? We need help with.
Trev.
Yeah.
What the heck is going on with Kanye West and this whole is it Donda or is it Donda? Is it Donda?
Okay. All right. So what do you want to know?
What the heck happened? First of all, did you have to buy his app or whatever in order to download his music?
No. So, okay. Donda is the name of his mother, Donda, Donda West. He has a documentary out right now on Netflix called Genius. It's spelled JEEN-YUHS, Genius.
Which I did start watching.
Yes, and it's very, very good. So yeah, this whole Donda thing is an album dedicated to his mom. The stem player is this little device, like a Bluetooth device that you can hook up via Bluetooth, and it has his album on there, and you can play it with vocals only, instrumentals only, certain parts of the song only. You can like customize the way it sounds right there on that little player. It's $200. His music.
So you had to buy that.
No, so he ended up streaming that event last night via YouTube and Amazon Music and stuff too. So you could watch it, but you can't listen to any of the songs or his new album unless you have that $200 stem player. It's not available on Spotify, Apple, Tidal, none of that. It's strictly on the stem player. So when you get the stem player, you buy it, you go to stemplayer.com, hook it up via Bluetooth, and you put it on the stem player. So
I mean, Kanye's got to send us some money for
no joke, man.
The heck out of his platform.
He got that Elon money, so we need to promote. We should get some of that.
Yeah, we should get a little bit. So what was the deal with the broadcast or whatever? What I mean, did it go wrong or was it?
He threw his mic last night because the sound guys were messing up his vocals with his microphone. Yeah. So. And then, like, the song would be sped up faster than what he could rap. So all of his special guests were trying to race and rapper and, like, perform fast to catch up with the beat of the song. Yeah. It was trash. So he threw his mic in frustration and just said whatever. So he probably – some of those people don't have a job today. Or they're looking for a job or don't have one for today.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw a lot of, like, memes or whatever when Biggie Smalls was through his mic, his sound guy or whatever at a live performance. I like that. Yep. So so he actually did that? He like threw it at the guy, or he just threw it down?
He just threw it like across towards that area. Right. Like, I'm sick of this. It was pretty embarrassing, but it's Kanye West. He pulled it off.
But the actual event or the actual music and the visuals were all great.
It took place in Miami. At some arena. I don't know if it's the Miami Dolphins or wherever else, but somewhere in Miami outside in a stadium. Yeah. And he had his house, where he grew up in Chicago. That was the prop. Like, that was the prop of the thing, and it lit on fire and split in the middle, and he had water on there. So it looked like he was walking on water. You know, he's a big Jesus guy. So like, it was really entertaining. Very entertaining. It's so good.
So the music was good, right?
Yeah, the music was very good. Oh God, yeah.
Okay. Yes, because I only know I know his kind of pop rap stuff. Yeah, you know, I know that stuff, and I love that stuff. But I don't know kind of his underground, maybe not underground, but you know, as we said back in the day, the old man Stoner says, we like the B-side.
Oh yeah,
right. Have you ever heard the B-side? Because that's probably before your time too, right?
No, I mean, because the B-side.
Well, because you had the records way back, the vinyl, right?
Yeah.
So you had your A side, which was the hit, and then if you turn the record over and played the other side, which was the B side, then that was kind of the song that wasn't as big that you kind of wanted people to hear, just so you heard more of what's on the album. So that's where that kind of B side comes from.
Okay. Right. Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know any of his kind of B side music. I know his.
It's good. I can put you on. I can put you on.
Should I? I mean,
yeah, you should listen to Donda. Listen to Donda. It's edited too. It's not even cussing. He made it that way. It's edited. It's very good. I mean, I like it. It's produced really well. The beats are different. Yeah, go ahead. Take it.
Okay. All right, I'll do it. Because you know, I don't know. I just wanted to kind of see what was going on with Kanye. I know you're a big Kanye guy.
Big Kanye guy.
Yeah. So I didn't understand what was going. And with the time difference. Where I'm at and everything, I couldn't figure out what was going on, and I was just like, you know what? I'll ask Trev because I know Trev knows. The guy. All right, so here's another question I got for you. before we get to Pete Hailey, who's coming up here in a few minutes.
Okay.
All right. So here's something I don't understand. Maybe you don't understand either, but I don't understand. Maybe our audience, our viewers can chime in as well. Okay. So, I am in a different area right now. As you can kind of see behind me.
Yes.
Right. It's daytime.
Yeah.
It's
right.
8:40 in the morning right now. And I know where you are. It's nighttime and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So to get here, traveling is, it's hell, basically.
I bet.
It's very difficult to go from the East Coast of the U.S., from Washington, all the way to Asia, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It takes about, with all your stopovers and all this, it takes about somewhere around 36 hours. Maybe not quite that long. That's a long time.
It is a long
But here's
time.
my question.
Okay.
When I fly on my leg from L.A. to Manila, it's about a 15-hour flight, okay, which is brutal, right? That's
a long flight.
I don't like doing it. Coming back from Manila to L.A. is like 12 hours. I don't understand why there's such a huge difference.
Maybe they take a different route on the way back.
Well, why don't you take that route going there?
Because maybe that's the quickest route there. Yeah, it's like your GPS. You type it in, what's your quickest route?
Right.
And whatever that says is according to the GPS, that's the quickest route. And the way back the same way, I guess. Now, I don't know.
Well, now I know there are the winds, right? The winds are up there.
Yeah.
The winds always go from west to east, right? And then so when you're going from Manila to LA, you got the tailwinds that help push you.
But Nathan says rotation of the earth.
Rotation of the earth for real? That might be a thing. But it's 3-hour difference. It's a 3-hour difference. And another thing that boggles my mind, all right? So when you go from Washington to LA, you're going back in time, basically, right? So LA's 3 hours behind.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so so it's going back in time.
Yeah.
But when you go from LA to Manila, the time goes forward by,
I don't know,
9 hours, I think it is. Right. So
this one I can't help you with.
You cross like the international date line, and then all of a sudden the time like jumps back to a different. I don't get it, Trev.
I don't get it either, Stoner. I don't know.
I'm sitting there on an airplane, and I'm trying to figure out what time it is. And
do they have GPSs for airplanes like we do down here on ground?
Yeah, they've got the screen in front of you to where it tells you how long to your destination and the time at your destination and the time at your departure. But I can't do that math.
Right.
The math
Hey, I'm not
it fuddles me.
I don't know that one, Stoner.
No. So what do you think of Nathan's theory of the rotation of the Earth?
I'm going to agree with it because it sounds scientific, and I don't question science. So
So if that's the case, on the way back, does the Earth rotate in the opposite direction? Oh,
see, that's a good point. Now that's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah, I don't get it. We need some math nerds in here to help.
12 hours back. I've always been a firm believer of it always takes quicker to come back from wherever you go. It does. I don't know.
And it doesn't matter where you're going.
Yeah, this proves it right here. They always say it's always quicker to come back than from when you're going. Like whenever I go to DC to the games, it takes so long. But I'm coming home. It's like I got home in like almost less than 3 hours.
So
almost 3 hours. I don't know.
So there's no science behind it. It's all in my brain.
No, there's science. There's definitely science. We just don't know what the science is.
Yeah. You know what? That's going to be the first question I think we ask Pete when he comes.
All right, let's do it. See
if he can help explain time and rotation of Earth and all kinds of science stuff.
Let's do it
before we get there. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the game. We're going to have Pete here in just a second. Before we do, we got a little bills to pay, as they like to say. So on the other side of this quick break, we will bring in Pete Hailey. You can find him on NBC Sports Commanders.
Washington.
It's NBC Sports Commanders now, I think. I'm going to have to ask him about that. It's no longer NBC Sports Washington. I think.
Why wouldn't it still be? We're still Washington Commanders. Why wouldn't it be? It wasn't ever national. Come on, I don't know, man. Just bring.
I
Pete
don't
in.
know. Another question for Pete, right? That we're gonna have to ask. And Washington Football Talk, of course. Him, JP Finlay, Mitch Tischler have a great podcast.
Yes, sir.
That I always check out. It's one of my favorites. So when we come back, we will talk to Pete Hailey.
Pete Hailey.
The game is brought to you by Pacers Running Stores. Pacers has 6 stores in Northern Virginia and DC. For the best running footwear, apparel, and gear, just stop by or schedule a virtual fitting with the best running experts in the business. Pacers Running exists to help as many people as possible through running. For every run, it's Pacers Running.
All right, so let's bring in Pete now. Now we don't have our normal when Nathan's here, he does all of the fancy.
Oh yeah.
So it might take us a second to fix this up all fancy, but let's bring in Pete Hailey. All right, and then we're going to switch to this, and then we're going to put Pete in the big seat. There we go, Pete Hailey, Washington, NBC Sports Commanders.
No,
I don't know. I don't know why.
Now?
I saw your tweets today promoting this. Why would, like Trev said, why would we just become NBC Sports Commanders? We are definitely not changing. It is NBC Sports Washington.
Yes.
Okay. So I looked on the website, on the NBC Sports Washington's website, and it said NBC Sports Commanders. So that's why I got confused.
He's going to check it right now. Look at Pete. You got Pete working off the clock, Snyder.
Yeah, like
Pete, you got to check your paycheck stubs and make sure it's coming from the proper source. We don't.
My very cursory look that I just did is that our Twitter account is still NBC Sports Washington. Our website's still NBC Sports Washington. I don't know what you're looking at, but regardless, I appreciate the warm welcome I've received, even if the branding you're pushing out seems totally wrong.
Yeah, okay. I totally botched the branding. I saw it somewhere.
I almost said something to you too, Stoner. I was like, nah, I'll let it ride. I'll let Pete handle it himself.
Yeah. Well, look, it's kind of a common theme here. Something goes wrong, it's usually my fault. So that's easy. All right. Well, Pete, thanks for taking the time to join us. Before we get into all the Washington talk, Commanders talk and everything, we have a couple of things to ask you about. First, why is it when I fly from LA to Asia, it takes 15 hours, and the exact flight back from Asia to LA, it only takes 12 hours?
So the flights, it's because of the winds. I think you're going against the wind one way and you're going with the wind the other way. But like when you're driving, like if I go somewhere 45 minutes away or 2 hours away to go visit somebody, it always feels like the trip home is quicker, even if it's exactly the same. And I don't know if it's because you've been on that road before, you've done that path before, so you're kind of recognizing things and it's easier to process it. But there is a strange phenomenon about the drive home feels much quicker than the drive out there. But in terms of planes, I think it's got to do with the weather, and that is far above my pay grade.
Well, that's some serious windage if it's a 3-hour difference.
Yeah, I mean,
from one direction.
You're up there really high too, so who knows?
Yeah, you're up there high. It's a big machine. You're going really fast. I would assume that the wind can matter quite a bit. So that's kind of my hypothesis here. Is that
he thinks we're idiots, Stoner. Thank you very much.
Oh, I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. One and the same too. So we're all in good company here, I think.
Yeah, that's right. All right. So the other thing before we get to it is we talked a little bit at the beginning when we first came on. We talked about the significance of episode 57. Okay. Mm-hmm. So here's the quote that Pete tweeted, and this is way back in September of last year when he was on a different show, a podcast called Glass of Joe. He said, "It's a known fact that the 57th episode of every podcast is where shows really peak. So good thing Glass of Joe invited me on for their 57th." Mm-hmm. So here we are, our 57th. And we kept bugging you as time went on. It said 57th show, Pete. We're counting on you. You're going to be here. Why is it the 57th show is the peak show for all podcasts?
I really, truly admire your guys' ability to track me down and keep this going throughout the year. It felt like every month or two I got a tweet like, hey, it's episode 33. We'll see you in 3.5 months. And I was like, yeah, these guys are going to forget. And lo and behold, here I am on 57. I think that was just straight up sarcasm by me because I was on a random episode of that nice podcast, a couple of friends of mine. So I wanted to try and sell it and say, look, this is where we peak. So congrats to you guys for having your best episode ever right now tonight too. And again, your ability to just keep this going is top notch. And the production value on this, you guys had a commercial before I came on. That is absurd. There's funny graphics floating, your names, your Twitter handles. Like, this is a really freaking well done podcast. I'm actually honored to be a part of it, and I'm glad I joined.
Look at that, Pete. That's some high praise from Pete Hailey.
Thank you very much.
The backgrounds
Pete.
are great. Everything's working, and hell, I wish I said episode 17 is when things peak, so I could get on here sooner. Honestly,
yeah.
I mean,
well, now we peaked. Now it's all downhill from here. Now we're just going to go downhill. Well, all right. So let's get into some football talk here. It's the off season now, and we've kind of hit all of the topics ad nauseum. I mean, there's really nothing new going on, but some of the things. So I'll hit you up first with something that just came out yesterday, I believe, or maybe today. Again, the time difference where I'm at, I'm 13 hours ahead right now, so I'm not sure if it was yesterday or today. But Pro Football Talk put out that tweet saying that the Commanders are really charging ahead. I don't know the exact words of extending Terry McLaurin and Daron Payne. Do you find, we all know they want to sign McLaurin, but do you find the Daron Payne thing a little bit surprising considering what's happened in the last year?
I definitely do. I think it's surprising because of the position he plays, being defensive tackle. They have depth there. They just signed Allen last year, and it felt like once they did that, they wouldn't be able to get Payne done, especially when you have Sweat and Young to take care of in the future. But and then you saw Payne get in that fight with Allen. I don't care. They can say it's a brotherly conflict that they moved on, but if one player feels the need to fight another player on the sidelines, then that feels like maybe there's a bigger issue at play here. But look, I mean, Daron's a serious guy. He fits in with the culture Ron's trying to establish. He's still really young. He came into the league at a really young age, and every time I look up his age now, I'm like, damn, he's only X years old, whatever it is now. But I definitely am surprised by that. McLaurin makes all the sense in the world, but Payne, I figured he'd be more likely to be traded this offseason than extended, and I still probably think that, but maybe they're trying to drum up interest and just make it seem like he's somebody they really plan on keeping to try and make it, then seem like, hey, we're giving this guy away that we wanted to extend. That's my only thinking on that. But we'll see kind of in the next couple of months. I know when they re-signed Logan and John Allen to extensions last year, it was before training camp, right in that late July window. So maybe Terry and Daron and other players like that will kind of get their extensions in the same time frame.
I hope so, man. Because it is interesting because a lot of people have grouped Daron Payne in a trade package for a quarterback, and then you hear this report about extending him. So it is interesting. I have a question that's something that hasn't been talked about, at least publicly, as well as the quarterback talk, Terry McLaurin, defensive line. What are we going to do with Landon Collins?
Dude, it's a hell of a question, right?
I know.
Because if I was on episode 17 and we were talking about this in October, we'd be like, why do we care what's going to happen to Landon Collins? Week 17 is going to come, it's going to go, and they're going to release him and move on, and it's going to be the most recent terrible contract that's going to go in the graveyard alongside the Hainsworth and the Archuletas and all those players. But he was legitimately behind Allen, probably their second best defender in the last couple months of the year, and I loved how decisive he was and how good of a tackler he was. It was a completely different Landon Collins. Now, even at that high level that he was playing at, he's not worth the 16, 17 million he's slated to earn. So I think it's going to have to be a pay cut. I think they'll frame it as, look, Landon, we want you here. You played a position that you thrived in, and it may not be your favorite, but the money you're going to get with us, say we drop you down to 9 or 10 million, you're not going to get that on the open market as a safety. You like this area. You want to fulfill Sean Taylor's legacy. You came here a couple years ago, and you want to make it kind of your home here. So take a pay cut. You're still going to be making more with us than you would on the open market, and let's keep this thing going. So that's what I think is going to happen. I think they'll free up a little money by giving Landon a bit of a deduction, but still make it worth his while, and then move forward with him as a good defender. Because him at 10 million as a dual linebacker is a lot more appealing than him at 16 million, because no linebacker is worth that amount of money, really.
Yeah, sure. You're right.
Yeah, and as a follow-up, let's go to the other side of the ball. Brandon Sheriff's gone, right? I mean, I like Brandon Sheriff. I think he plays a great role, but I guess at that money, he's probably not going to be here next year. And
I would assume he's gone, and this is a stance I flipped this offseason. I was always in the keep Brandon Sheriff camp, and I think there are times when his penalties or his missing games overshadow just how useful he was and how critical he was. But this past season, only playing 11 out of 17 games. I think it's his 5th straight year missing multiple games. It's just not worth it for what you're going to have to pay him. And you have Wes Schweitzer, who performed pretty admirably at times at guard, both sides. You have Sadiq Charles, who I'm not sold on, but you can at least maybe give him an extended look, or you can just sign somebody cheaper or draft a guy in the 3rd or 4th round and get, someone who shows up at least every Sunday. So Sheriff is no doubt talented, but I think the way he's worked the franchise tag, he's going to be looking for a humongous payday. Yeah. And with Rivera, he's seen, look, we're going to miss this guy at least for 3 or 4 weeks every year, if not more. I'm not going to be able to back up the Brinks truck for him. And Martin Mayhew had that quote that, look, we tried to make him the highest paid guard ever, and he turned it down. So I think there's a little more friction. And while Sheriff may say all the right things about staying here long term, I don't think it's going to happen. And I think that's best for the team.
I agree. So, Pete Hailey, you're in charge of all of the first offseason move of the Washington Commanders. And that first move is to get a quarterback. What are you doing?
What is Pete doing?
What is Pete doing?
It's a question I get.
Not what is Washington doing? What is Pete doing?
You have control. What are you doing to get us a quarterback?
It's a 2-pronged plan here. First off, I'm probably not going to waste my time with the Packers. I'm not going to try and stoop as low as Carson Wentz, and I would rather avoid Jimmy G. So I'll go to the Seahawks and say, what's it going to take to get your guy Russell? I know he's a bit on the decline. Maybe he's entering the backstage of his career, but his bad season is stellar compared to what Washington has had. So I'm going to offer up a really hefty package. I'm going to say, here, take Deron Payne, take multiple first-round picks, take another core piece of my team because my team's not going anywhere. And if the Seahawks, if Pete talks to Pete Carroll and he's cool with it, great, we're done for. If not, again, I don't want to touch the Jimmy G's and the Carson Wentz's and the Mitch Trubisky's. That's not enough for me. So maybe I'll sign one of those guys just to, round out my room, but I want to then go draft Malik Willis. And if I have to trade up to the 7th, 8th spot, jump over Pittsburgh, jump over the Broncos, I'm going to do it because this postseason has showed me quarterbacks with ceilings that are sky high, not just good quarterbacks, not just guys who are better than Taylor Heineke, but ceilings that are so effing high you can barely look at them are the ones that are going to drag you to the promised land. And I think that's what I would do. So Russell and Malik are the 2 guys I'm going after. If I can't get Russell, I'm doing what I can to get Malik. And that's
I like that, Pete. I like that, Pete.
What do you say to the guy? I do too.
I love that, Pete. Ron, give Pete a call. Give Pete a call, Ron. Like Marty Mayhew, all of them.
What do you say about those who think that, or who say that Russell Wilson is Donovan McNabb 2.0? That he's done, and then he's going to come here and just be terrible.
I would say, look, your skepticism is warranted. All things that come to Ashburn tend to wilt and look worse than, when they leave versus when they arrived. But, I would have to look at Donovan's numbers, compared to what Russell is and their ages. I don't know exactly if they're in the same stages of their career, but my answer would be Russell's performed way better than Donovan ever has. Donovan was probably he was kind of Kirkish, maybe a top 10, top 12 at his peak. Russell Wilson's been top 3, top 5. And, today versus even 10 years ago, quarterbacks are playing longer. They take better care of themselves. And Russell is a guy who does that, seems like more than most signal callers, if not all of them. So I think he's someone who's very thirsty to improve his legacy and win another Super Bowl. So I wouldn't, be scared off by Donovan McNabb just because there have been past failures. Like with last year when people were saying you can't draft Justin Fields because they already tried the Ohio State quarterback in Dwayne Haskins. Because you can't let those past things influence your future actions. So I'd still go get Russell. And if he turns out to be Donovan 2.0, then it's a terrible beat, but you tried your best and you made a move that everybody would have approved of. And that's really all I can ask for.
Totally agree with you on that. Are there any rumblings in the building or wherever you are these days about any other positions that we should pay attention to that could shake things up this offseason?
Not necessarily rumblings, but just kind of where I'm looking at the team. When I was watching the Rams make their run, they had Cooper Kupp, they had Robert Woods, they had Van Jefferson, they had 3 really nice receivers, one who's an MVP candidate, and 2 of them were damn good supporting pieces. And they said, this isn't enough. We need to sign Odell. And they signed Odell. And Robert Woods got hurt the next day. But I want people to remember that they signed Odell to play with those other 3 guys. They were going to have 2 number ones, a 1B and a 1C at receiver. And I think that's what Washington has to do at receiver this offseason. They can't just say, McLaurin's great, Samuel's going to get better, De'Ami Brown's going to take a step forward, and we can re-sign Cam Sims and Adam Humphries, and there we go. We're fine. They need to invest at receiver. They need to sign a big name guy there. They need to draft someone in the first, second, third round. They need to throw even more resources at that, because if you get Russell Wilson, then holy hell, he's going to have massive weapons and be able to score 30 points a game. But if you get Jimmy G, who needs a lot of help, then there you go. You're supplying that help. So I think receiver in today's day and age, it's about depth. It's about having 4 guys who can scare defenses. And right now, Washington has Terry, who does it, Curtis, who in theory could do it, but never did it last year, and Logan Thomas, who's coming off an ACL. So I think they need to really, be aggressive at receiver and round out this offense. Then, of course, defense, middle linebacker, yada, yada. But I've become a pro offense guy. Stop trying to win through defense. You got to win through scoring points.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, the days of drafting a first-round defensive lineman year after year after year, those days are gone. We've seen what that result is. So I'm with you. I think you just draft skill player after skill player, trade for him. I like the Mike Williams out there from the Chargers, things like that. Okay, so let's move a little bit off the field now, if we can here. And there's obviously tons of stuff always going on off the field with this team. We know that. What do you think of the new investigation that the NFL's got going on, which is now not investigating necessarily the Commanders, but they are investigating specifically Dan Snyder for this one particular allegation? Is it, like me, I'm a little bit older, I'm a little bit more cynical on how these things are going to turn out, and I don't think it's going to go anywhere. But do you hear anything in your world that this is actually going to be substantive? I don't even know if that's the right word. Substantive? What's the right word? Pete, you're the writer.
Maybe. I think substantive. Yeah. You got the right word, wrong pronunciation, but you're close. Look, I totally understand this skepticism. The NFL seems quite corrupt at times. The Commanders have, football team Redskins have operated in a pretty shady way under Dan Snyder and have faced really no punishments aside from a $10 million fine that looks good in headlines, but really doesn't do anything for anybody. But I don't know if this specific investigation is going to lead to any sort of action, but I do think the more attention that is swirling around this team is going to eventually tip the scales and lead to a change, lead to an actual punishment. I don't know what it will lead to, but I do think we're heading towards something as opposed to, just continuing the status quo and Dan Snyder's here for another 50 years. And I don't know if that happens in 6 months or whatever, but with where the world is today, people are being held more accountable no matter what position they have, no matter how powerful they are. And NFL owners are as powerful as it gets. They can basically, they answer to nobody, and they have wallets the size of apartment buildings. But you can't do the things he's been accused of doing. And if those are true, then you just can't run an organization. And just, again, people are being held accountable all over the place. You're seeing powerful people be taken out of spots that you thought they would hold forever. So again, I see this progressing. It's probably slower than what the victims would like it to progress at, but I do think it's inching forward as opposed to standing still.
All right, Pete. Thanks for answering the serious stuff. Now I'm gonna get off of that, because whatever.
That's right. We're gonna get past that.
Good for me.
Are you a Commanders fan? Was that one of your names personally that you wanted to have for this organization, or how do you feel about the name? Has it grown on you? Just where are you at with the name and the branding right now?
So the name has certainly grown on me, and I think it's nice to have a name. I understand football team was liked by people, but that is just so weird that we all convinced ourselves to call a football team a football team. And it was like, that's just what they're called. It's not acceptable to do that. We cannot let that be the thing that we do for the rest of eternity. So I'm glad that they have a name, the Commanders. We can say that Terry McLaurin is a commander. We can say they instead of it's, because it's a football team. No, it's the Commanders, so they are winning, etc. That nerdy stuff matters to me more than it should. But the name itself, the thing I say to people is like, there's so many leagues, so many teams. It's impossible to come up with a new name. At least this name hasn't really been done before, aside from the AAF, but nobody cares about that league. So it's relatively new. And while it may seem bland and corporate and clean cut and maybe uninspiring, I do think eventually it will just be accepted. Some people may like it. Some people may begrudgingly do so. And some people are still going to say the Redskins, which is up to them and fine. But I like Commanders okay. The rollout sucked. The logos could be better. But it's nice to have it be wrapped up and done, and now we can start getting used to it. And that's kind of the most important thing for me.
Have you seen the uniforms in person?
Yeah, I saw them at the rollout. I love the black. I think I like the burgundy even more. The white ones, like most people, kind of need to still grow on me, but I'm hoping that the red that they have is matching with the other stuff, and it looks okay, because in some of the mock-ups, it does look Arizona State-y, Falcons-y, etc. But I think 2 out of 3 of them are smashes. The black is going to be amazing in a nighttime game against the Cowboys. The all burgundies are going to look sweet in the fall on 1 o'clock Sunday games. And then if you mix and match, that can be really cool too. So the uniforms, great for me. Name, decent. Logos, decent, but I felt like they kind of missed it there. And the rollout itself was totally overwhelming. But hey, this is Washington we're talking about. They're going to screw up quite often, and
but that's fine. That Friday night event at FedEx was pretty good, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
I didn't go
better than the Tuesday thing.
Yeah, I didn't go because the weather was kind of awful, and I was kind of tired that week, and no one was telling me to go from my office, so I just kind of slept and snuck under the radar there. But that seemed like it went well, and I think they need to do stuff like that all off season. They can't just be done now, and it kind of seems like they're done, but they need to do more events like that to further ingratiate fans with the name and just shove the branding in their face. Give them hats. I gave my friend a lanyard recently, and now he's using it for his car keys, and he drives all the time, so he's looking at that lanyard and he's associating the Commanders with the burgundy and gold of the team. So continue to give out merch, continue to meet people wherever they are all around this area, and send international fans stuff, send them emails and videos and stuff to continue to make people become accustomed to this being the new name.
And if you're going to the Wiz game, you're going to the Nats game, you're going to the Caps game, what game are you going to? The Commanders.
Yeah, I hear you. This is definitely another thing.
This is the thing, right?
Yeah, this is probably my biggest complaint with the name. Hogs would have been easy. It's just Hogs, Red Wolves, Wolves, etc. But Commanders, there's no good option. I've heard C's, I've heard Coms, I've heard Durs, I've heard Manders, I've heard everything. I think Coms is probably what you go with. Then do you spell it COMS? Do you spell it COMMS? I don't know. It's a mess in that regard, but I think most people just say Coms and it'll be okay. Or you can just say Commanders. I know it's long, but in reality, me saying Commanders and me saying Coms, probably about a 0.02 second difference. Let's all realize that an extra syllable or two is not going to freaking kill us.
Exactly. I got a question.
Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. No, mine's different from what you're talking about. Go ahead.
All right, I was just going to say, why don't you call them the Dubs? I like
dude.
Out there.
Those are the Wizards. The Washington Wizards are the Dubs.
Dubs. I think the Warriors are more so the Dubs than the Wizards.
Yeah.
I appreciated the creativity there. I think that's the kind of outside the box thinking that needs to happen. I was thinking, and this one's maybe lame, maybe cool, but with them having 3 stars on the collar of the jerseys, I think, and the more I think about this, the more it might suck because it's Cowboys related kind of, but calling them the Washington 3 stars. Like the Yankees, they're called the Bronx Bombers. The Cowboys are America's team. The Giants are Big Blue. Like, you don't necessarily have to have a nickname that is just a shortened version of it. It's not just Vikings to Vikes. Like, you can become something else. So maybe it's something like that where it's the Commanders, but then their nickname's the 3 stars. Their
Pete, you're on to something.
Whatever. So I think it could be a shorter name that is separate from the actual name. And if it becomes 3 stars somehow and people actually like that, know where it started. It started right here.
Right here
on this show.
So 57, with Pete Hailey, the peak of our show.
We are peaking right now.
So Pete, real quick, how long have you known JP and Mitch and B Mitch? Like, how long have you guys been a tight knit group?
I started interning for JP sophomore year of college, which was maybe 2015. So coming up on like 7 years with him, and then got close to Mitch a couple years after that because we didn't overlap too much, and then B Mitch kind of the same. So known them all for at least 5 years, and they're I don't know if it's definitely not pathetic to say, but as lame as it is to say that 3 guys in their upper 30s and older than that are 3 of my better friends in the world. They definitely are. They're tremendous people. They're hilarious. They like to drink. They like to play golf. They like to bet. They like to do all the things I like to do, and they've taught me many important life lessons. So I love all 3 of those guys with all my heart.
That's what's up.
We love your podcast with those guys, with JP and Mitch, or JP and Mitch Tischler, and sometimes B Mitch comes on as well, and I listen to it all the time. I love it. I love the chemistry you guys have and your honesty when the team is playing really bad, and you guys will get into the team as necessary. And of course, I've said this, I've tweeted you many times over the years. over the last year or so that I love the stuff you put on NBC Sports Washington because it's short, it's to the point, it's not a whole detailed thing. You just get right to it, tell us what we need to hear, and then move on to something else. And you do great work, and we're honored to have you on this 57th episode of Ref the District.
Sure.
And I don't know, watch yourself in your tweets because we'll be watching and we'll prey on anything that you put out there that would be to our advantage to get you back on our show in the future.
I mean, hell, thank you. That was a very nice 2-minute compliment fest. I appreciate it all. It's our job is really fun, and I'm glad you like what I do. But I'll be honest, I do many fan podcasts, many different shows. I've enjoyed the hell out of this guest stint, and I promise you, it will not be another 57 episodes before I return. So let's give ourselves some time. We don't want to bump heads and get too comfortable here. Let's take a breath. But preseason, after the draft, whatever, hit me up, and I'm happily joining in. This has been a very fun chat. You guys are great, and I'm still very jealous of the setup and all the graphics and stuff. So it's been a blast. Thank you for the invite.
Of course, Pete.
Awesome.
Man,
awesome,
dope.
Pete. Thanks again. Of course, you can catch Pete, like we just talked, on NBC Sports Washington, not NBC Sports Commanders. NBC Sports Washington, and of course the Washington football Talk. We don't say team anymore. With JP Finlay, Mitch Tischler, and all the luminaries there. Thanks again, Pete, and we'll be right back with the cool down here. And don't forget to check him out at Pete Hailey. I'm not sure I thought you were going to put it in your name there. What's the Twitter handle there?
You're everything about this show has been great except your ability to promote my stuff. We got
I got you next time, Pete. I won't leave it to start. I got you, dog.
Haley NBCS on Twitter. Everybody who's watching this, please go follow me there, and hopefully you'll like my stuff as much as Stoner does over there.
All right. All right. Thanks again, Pete. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys. I'll see you.
Thank you.
Man, that was awesome having Pete. I gotta switch these.
That was dope. That was dope. We gotta promote him better.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Trev. I went to their website and I swear I saw, maybe it was their Twitter handle. I swear it said NBC Sports Commanders, not Washington. So I was like,
that's Washington.
Maybe they rebranded. Yeah.
That's okay. And all the viewers, sorry that Stoner and I are doing this. It's we keep bumping our tables throughout the program, so if you see that a lot, sorry about that. Yeah. We're just excited. We haven't seen each other in like 2 weeks, so we're excited.
That's right. Yeah, we got to hit it. Yes, and thanks to everybody who's joined us in the chat. Lashina Carter, sorry we didn't get to your question about what receiver specifically Pete was trying to get, but we just kind of ran out of time there. We had a lot to talk to him about. And Gerald is in here in the chat with us as well, Gerald P. And our usual luminaries, of course, and well-loved Mike. We love Mike. See?
Man.
That's me. All right, so let's get to our cool down here, Trev. You ready?
All right. Yeah,
I've got a list of rapid-fire hot topics that I want you to comment on.
Okay.
All right? So I'll throw out the actual topic, and then you give me your quick reaction. Again, this is not necessarily all related to Washington sports, but a lot of them are.
Okay.
So you saw last week with the incident with Michigan and Wisconsin basketball where Juwan Howard took a swing at the Wisconsin coach and he got suspended for the rest of the regular season. And now Patrick Ewing just came out and said we should eliminate the handshake line at the end of the game. Do you think we should get rid of that? No. Or should we just there's one bad apple that happens over the course of 10 years. Can we just kind of move on?
Yeah. One bad apple in 10 years, move on. Next question. Literally.
Aren't we all adults here?
I know it doesn't really happen in the NBA and NFL that much just because they're all grown men and it's a different. But college, high school, yes. You want to teach the kids the right way, so sportsmanship is shaking hands. Now, Juwan Howard did say, don't touch me. Homeboy touched him. That's why I escalated. So, if you just keep your hands to yourself, other than whatever, it's fine. But don't eliminate it. Don't do that.
Totally agree with you, Trev.
Okay.
All right, so we've got issues with Major League Baseball and their lockout and their negotiations. They've already started talking about spring training games are being postponed. They should be in spring training right now. Does this bother you, Trev? I don't know how big of a baseball fan you are, but does it bother you that we could see a shortened Major League Baseball season again?
I mean, I'm not like a diehard baseball fan. I've been to a game. I've watched it. I watched highlights. I know of it. But it's America's game. It's the game of America. Everybody loves baseball. As big as NFL is, NBA, baseball is America's sport. So, yeah, I think it's a huge deal. We're supposed to be in spring training. A lot of offseason moves supposed to be happening right now, and you're supposed to take a look at what you've got to see what moves you need to make. Right? Isn't that what spring training pretty much is?
Yeah, and yet they haven't even hit free agency yet.
And that's
signed free agents.
That's bad. And then you got Juan Soto. I know it's touchy for you, but you got Juan Soto who turned down that ginormous contract because he doesn't know what's going to happen with this lockout thing. So that's happening as this lockout happens.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a huge deal. Huge deal.
Can you imagine? And I know you guys touched on this last week when I couldn't make it, but can you imagine having the power and the leverage to look at $350 million and say, no thanks.
Nah.
No thanks.
If I did have that power,
I
love you, Stoner. Wouldn't be on this podcast. I would not be on an island somewhere secluded that I bought recently. That's my island. How could you just turn down $350 million?
That is $350 million, and you say,
whatever.
No, I can get more.
Right.
Jeez. And then speaking of kind of off-season stuff with baseball, Ryan Zimmerman retired. Kind of quiet, not quietly, but he said that's it. And I heard him on the Junkies this morning, I believe. Again, the time difference has got me confused, but and he said he had a good year last year, and he didn't want to limp out. He wanted to go out on a good year, and so he said that's it. So Ryan Zimmerman, is he getting a statue at Nats Park?
He should.
Yeah,
maybe not a huge giant one, but if you're going to have a few statues there, he should definitely be one of them.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Kristaps Porzingis is scheduled to make his Wizards debut in their first game after this break, which I think is the 26th, whatever day that is, Saturday, Friday, I'm not sure. Yeah. Again, time difference, kind of messed up. Are you looking forward to watching Porzingis play in a Wizards uniform?
I am. Fresh start. I never really liked him with Luka down there. I felt like they had a low-key battle of who was a superstar down there. I didn't like him in New York, really. Where did he play? Did he start in New York?
Yeah, he started in New York. He was an all-star.
Dallas. Yeah, so I kind of liked him in New York then, but I never liked him in Dallas. But now that I like him in Washington, fresh start. He's an injury bug guy. He's always injured, but when he's healthy, he's really good. He's a force.
Yeah.
It sucks that we don't have somebody else to help play with him like Bradley Beal, but also now we get to see what happens when he doesn't have that superstar. Who does he become? Does he become the guy, or does he need somebody to help him get to where he's shown he's been? So I like it. I'm all for it. Let's make a push and get in the play-in tournament, baby. Let's do it.
Whatever it takes. That's right. No tanking. Yep. No tanking on this show.
Nah, not at all. Not at all.
All right. So the U.S. women's national team, the soccer team, just got a $24 million settlement from U.S. Soccer for their issue with not getting the same pay as the men's team, even though the women's team is always right there at the end of all the tournaments, unlike the men's team, who can barely qualify for tournaments. Right. And then in the future, they're going to get equal bonus pay as the men's team. Okay. I know you're a big proponent of women's sports, so what are your thoughts on that settlement?
It's about time. Thank gosh it happened. Thank gosh it wasn't some phony baloney $2 million settlement. $24 million still is probably not what it needs to be, but it's better than what it was. And hopefully that trickles down to other women's sports like the WNBA. People clown on that. It's not, they don't dunk, it's soft, but they're playing just as hard as the men do. It's the same league as the men. It's just women's. So they deserve the same thing as the men do. Not maybe not the same. Well, yeah, they deserve equal. I don't care. Because I just saw somebody in women's league signed a super max deal. It was like 20 some odd $1 million for like a super max, or like it was something really low. And I made a comment on Twitter, like, if that's the super max, something needs to be done, because you got like Juan Soto, $350 million baseball. Basketball happens $225 million max contract. You see that happen all the time. Why can't the women break the century mark in $1 million contract, or at least the 50? So shout out to the women's team.
Yeah, I think there's a double-edged sword with that, of course, because the women don't necessarily generate the income that the men do. However, you can't tell me, you'll never be able to convince me that these owners that own the WNBA teams are not raking in tons of money.
Tons of money.
It's just like the owners for the NBA for many years were not paying their guys. Now all of a sudden they can afford $250 million contracts.
Yeah, right.
As though they couldn't afford that. Now they can afford it. No, they've always been able to afford it. And the same with the WNBA. They can afford to pay these women a lot more than
they most definitely can, bro. Yeah. If you can pay the coaches a lot of money more than the players, then you can definitely pay the players. So get it done.
USFL draft was in the last couple of days. Were you paying attention?
I was on Twitter following along during my Donda Kanye West stream last night.
Okay.
I noticed a former Washington Redskin offensive lineman, Tyler Catalina, was drafted by USFL. Shea Patterson.
Who even knew Tyler Catalina was still walking around?
Yeah, I didn't even know that he was. But whatever. Shea Patterson, Michigan quarterback from last year, drafted number 1 overall. Jordan Tamu, he's a quarterback in that league. Kevin Sloter, who's been a backup in the NFL for a little bit, he got drafted in that. So,
wow.
Like it's some notable, very minimum few notable names. Adonis Alexander, former Washington Redskins cornerback, Virginia Tech Hokie, he got drafted like in the 8th round. But I mean, and I'm just saying this, but it kind of speaks volumes if you get drafted in the 8th round of the USFL league. I'm just saying.
How are these guys, how do the general managers of the USFL even know that these guys exist?
I don't know. It was like 8 picks a round because it's 8 teams. So it's like, and I think they did it by group, like positions. Like the first round was quarterbacks, second round was like running backs, third round was offensive linemen. I think that's how they did it. Like they picked.
That makes sense.
So that's interesting. That's an interesting format. But I'm excited to an extent. Like I told you before show, it's football in April. So bring it on.
Yeah, bring it on. I hear you. Kemba Walker.
Oh, I just read this today, bro. This today.
What happened? He was an amazing point guard when he was in Charlotte. Obviously, in college, he was amazing. That he was cardiac Kemba, right?
Yeah.
He was always carrying a team at the end of games. And then he goes to Charlotte, and he's just killing it. He goes home to New York to the Knicks, and everybody thought this is going to be amazing. Yeah. And now they've agreed. His team. The Knicks and Kemba Walker's team of advisors or whatever, they've all agreed he's not going to play the rest of the year. He's just going to sit there and make his $8 million, a la John Wall,
and so he can work out and get ready for next season.
Yeah. What happened?
Trade him. Why didn't you trade him?
Yeah,
you could have got something for him. Pick something. You could have got something. You're not making the playoffs. You might not even make the play-in. So just trade him. Why would you keep him? He's a free agent after this year anyway.
I think next year. I think he's in the first year of a 2-year deal.
Okay.
So next year he's that expiring contract guy next year.
I mean, he has bad knees, and like I said, I guess they're not gonna make the play-in probably, so might as well shut him down. D Rose is coming back in the next couple of games after missing like 2 months from an ankle. So but like I read it and I was like, why would you just agree to? It's 23 games. Just play, bro. Just play.
Yeah, it seems like it to me. And I mean, I've been a Kemba Walker guy. I like his game. He's a wizard killer. He just every time he plays the Wizards, he just kills them. All right, couple more here, Trev.
This is fun, dog. I love this. We should tell Nathan we should do this in the cool down from now on, dog.
NBA All-Star game.
Yeah.
Or All-Star weekend. Is the dunk contest
God. The dunk contest is dead because the contestants who participate, bro.
Yeah.
Like, no one wants to see Juan. I can't even pronounce his last name for the Warriors.
Toscano.
Toscano.
What's his last
What is
name?
he? No one wants to see that. Give me Miles Bridges, Ja Morant, LeBron James. Give me all these high flyers that
Anthony Edwards.
That are making top plays on SportsCenter. Get them in the dunk contest instead of Cole Anthony dunking in Timberland boots. How creative is that? You missed the first time. And then Jalen Green, bro. Like all these dunks, all the dunks have been done before. Mm-hmm. Somebody said, bring the old school guys back. If you got some legends who can still get up there, have them do the dunk contest. Lower the rim, have them do it, and have the young bucks
lower the rim.
Have the young guns judge the old guys. Like intertwine them. But this have more than four have more than four participants. Yeah, the contest is weak, bro. Weak.
So I've heard some people advocate to switch and have the 3-point contest being the final, the showcase event.
Might as well, because honestly, no one picked Karl Anthony Towns to be the 3-point champion. I didn't. I had Trae Young as my winner.
You had Trae? I had Luke Kennard.
Something, or just get rid of the dunk contest. Do a 3-on-3 tournament. Do a 2-on-2 tournament. Do a 1-on-1 out of 7 defenders, like to 20. Yeah, just do something better than that dunk contest, because, like I said, there's nothing else to do. You can only do so many flips and jumps.
I grew up in the days of Michael Jordan, Clyde Drexler, Dominique Wilkins,
doing things you've never seen before.
Yes.
Yeah, Spud Webb, 5'4", 5'2", dunking the ball. It doesn't happen anymore. Like All-Star Game too as well. If it wasn't for Stephen Curry, All-Star Game would have been a dud.
What about the new ending they've adopted? That the Kobe ending they call it, which is a play on the ending for the basketball tournament, which I think is great. You get to a certain point in the game, and then you say, okay, the next one to score. I don't know what it was in this All-Star Game. I don't know if it's 8 or if it's 24, but they say the next team to get to this point. I mean, that makes it a little bit more competitive, right?
Yeah, so this year they reset the score after every quarter. They set a target score, played to it, and then when that was done, the second quarter happened. It was 0-0.
Oh, okay.
I think that Kobe thing was like a play, like a 3-man weave or something that Monty Williams was talking about. But they had to play a total of 149, I think was the total that they had to play to. And
Gotcha. All right.
And of course, LeBron hit the game winner, as fitting as it was.
In Cleveland, right?
In Cleveland.
I missed a lot of it, but I tried to check it out best I could. All right, last one.
Yeah, Steph had 15 threes, by the way. I just want to tell you that.
Isn't that insane?
He was 15 for 21 and 3-pointers.
That's insane. Even though nobody's really guarding him, right?
Still, bro, he was hitting him from the logo. Like Stoner, he came down and threw it up for the logo and literally turned around and ran back down the court before the ball even started trajectorying down. That man is ridiculous, bro.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
All right, last one.
Yeah.
Who is the first half NBA MVP? Not who's going to be the MVP. And I'll give you three. You have to choose. Embiid, Giannis, or Jokic.
Embiid all day.
Embiid
all day.
I think Embiid
right now
probably should have been the MVP last year as well.
You think Jokic should have got it?
No, I think Embiid had a better year. Look, I'm going to say, ready? This is my my parting shot before we go. Joel Embiid is the most talented center to ever play the game. The most talented. The most talented 7-footer to ever play in the NBA.
Whoa!
Give me somebody. I mean, overall talented.
Hakeem Olajuwon.
Can Hakeem Olajuwon come down and run the break and dish off and
probably?
No, he can't. He was a back to the basket. He had the best moves in the paint of all time.
All right, hold
on. But Embiid can do that.
Yet. We got a couple more minutes. Hold on. You can't leave this yet. I'm gonna give you one.
Can shoot jumpers. Embiid can back to the basket. He can break a guy down. He can pass out of the double team. He can run a fast break. The offense completely runs through him on every play. He does it all. He is the most overall talented big man, 7-footer of all time in the NBA.
You know what? I might agree with you because you say overall talented, not just dominant down low, but overall talented. Right. He does have tremendous footwork for a dude who's Aki as hell and tall as hell.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Stoner. As of right now, I'll think on it. I will agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you. He's the most talented.
You can say like Kareem has the best shot down low. Obviously, he could score at will with his.
Hey, did Dr. J could he bring the ball down and do all that stuff too? I feel like he could.
Yeah, but he was a 7-footer.
Oh,
I'm talking about a 7-footer. I'm talking about a center, a big man. Right,
George Mirasan, baby, George Mirasan, Washington Bullets.
I mean, you have Gerald brings up Shaq. Right now, Shaq was a dominant big man.
He's the best big man. Best big man ever.
Shaq could have once in a while he could run a break or whatever, but they did not do it. Wasn't on purpose. Not like with Embiid. Embiid can bring the ball down on purpose. They run the offense through him. Whereas Shaq, he wasn't bringing it down. There was a couple of times he has some highlights of him going down and running a fast break.
He's the most dominant. Shaq's most dominant.
Low.
You can't stop him down low. There's no way.
I mean, if you go way back to like Wilt Chamberlain, I thought Wilt Chamberlain was the most dominant big man.
Okay.
But I mean, Kareem is the best scorer. Patrick Ewing had maybe the best jump shot. Akeem Olajuwon had the best moves down low and all that. But Embiid can do all of that and more. Right. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he's going to end up being the best center ever.
No.
He has to do it year after year after year after year. But I think he's the most talented big man ever.
I want to add on to the rapid fire. Ben Simmons, James Harden trade. Who wins in that trade? The Sixers or the Nets? Who won that trade?
Gosh, I don't know, man. Those are two malcontents, two guys that I don't know. I think it had to be done on both sides
for sure.
But but hey, those they're both teams I think got better because of the guys they got rid of. That doesn't necessarily mean, for example, Ben Simmons is going to be great for Brooklyn, but Philadelphia got better because they got rid of Ben Simmons.
And Brooklyn got better because they got rid of
because it just wasn't working. It's just like here with Spencer Dinwiddie. Everybody thought in Washington Spencer Dinwiddie was going to be a great fit. Yeah, the Wizards got better because they got rid of Spencer Dinwiddie. And
Montrezl Harrell too. And that was not a great fit. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Word. Once again, shout out Nathan. Sorry missed you tonight. He's dealing with some family stuff. Thoughts and prayers out to him and EP as well.
Yeah.
We talked to them before the show. They're in good spirits. Some progress was made with their situation, so that's good. I was going to say this too, Gerald. Tim Duncan, but he was a power forward. He really wasn't a center, so I couldn't give that to Stoner. But he's the best fundamental big man, I think.
Sure.
Best fundamentally sound big man. That's like by far. And Wayne also says Sixers won the trade. I think the Sixers won the trade too. I think that James Harden and Joel Embiid is going to be a hell of a duo. Some people are already saying Kobe Shaq 2.0 already, and they haven't even played a game together. So, which I know, the problem that's a reach. That's a reach.
Just because
that's a huge reach.
Harden has been known to wear out his welcome wherever he goes.
Yeah.
So there's a reason he's been
very well.
Yeah, there's a reason he's been on 5 teams, but
right
or whatever it is, I don't know how many teams he's been on, but.
And next year he'd be like, Philly was cool. I like cheesesteaks, but I want to go to Miami now.
Yeah, exactly. He's just chasing the money, which is okay, but you just can't be considered one of the best ever if you're just kind of chasing the money and always wanting to leave. He's played with Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. He's played with in Houston. Remind me who we had in
John
Houston.
Wall.
Did he have?
Oh, Russell, didn't he?
He played again? 1 year with Westbrook. I think he also played with
Clint
Capella. I'm trying to think of Capella was really good with him. He's played with some great teammates, and he's never been able to do it. And so after a while, you have to say, well, maybe it's not them.
Which is funny. He can't play with KD at all, apparently, it seems like. Well, they traded him from the Thunder, so that might not have been his choice, but he can't play with KD. He's played with him twice. He's played with Russ twice. Yeah, so
I don't know. It was interesting. But, just like Trev said, shout out to Nathan and EP. They're in good spirits, like you said. We'll see them soon here on the show. So that's going to wrap it up for us. Again, thanks to Pete Hailey from NBC Sports Washington and Washington Football Talk. podcast, for joining us. And I guess that's it. So make sure you subscribe to us.
Please.
On all the audio platforms. We're on Apple and Spotify and Google and Amazon podcasts. Hit our YouTube page. Hit that subscribe button and the notifications button so you know that when we're going live or when we post new stuff. We're very, very active in our community posts, and we do all sort of uploads on the hot topic of that day. We've talked about Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, et cetera, QB issues with Washington. So check us out on our YouTube page. We appreciate everybody who's been here today. So, Trev, until
yes, sir.
Next time.
What, Stoner?
Be a fan.
Okay.
We love Washington, and we some die-hard fans. Yeah, we are. You know we keep it on 10. Let's talk about the offense. 1, 2, 3, let's go. And they gifted. We are.